welcome to Penguins Wanderlust video logging for every day of April. So today I made notes because we have a lot to cover today. So today's topic is, if you're going to Burning Man and you don't know anyone that's going to Burning Man, what do you do? So I figured we would start with the things to do beforehand. So get online and do a little bit of research. Under Burning Man you can find Playa, which is E then P-L-A-Y-A. Playa is the name of the desert because it's a lake bed. So it's basically electronic playa. And it's going to be Okay, so I turned off the heat pump. Today has been way colder than it's been all week. It rained last night, so everything's kind of wet. This is why I'm sitting on a towel. And it's not too bad right now, it's dry. So if you don't know anyone that's going to be going to Burning Man, none of your friends are going and you don't know anyone that's going, then the thing to do is to join up Playa, which is electronic playa, Playa, and there are forums there. Before I went in 2009, I went on Playa and I found another mother who had never been. She lived in San Francisco. Her son was a couple years younger than my daughter, and my son was an older teen by then. My daughter was like 15. So we met online and exchanged, notes and comments, and so she joined me in my camp, our regional camp. She joined us, and that was good. I think the thing that she should have done was probably bring a friend for her son, because he kind of went off to the man by himself one evening just because he wanted something to do. So I think having a friend helps. You can also join your region's email lists. So if you go to the burningman.org page, you'll see regional network. It'll show you a map of the world, and then you can see where the regions are. So you can go to those and get on the email list so you know what's happening in your neighborhood, sort of thing. When I joined the one in Victoria, BC, I only joined the events one, and I was on it for a couple years. I never saw a message on it at all, and until Ashes took over running the Victoria group, and he contacted me, and it turns out there was also a discussion email. But that was back in 2009. Most people are on Facebook, so just look on Facebook, do a search for Burning Man or Burner, and you'll find lots of groups to join. There's like a European group, there's the ones in Canada and the ones in the States. The other thing to do is to subscribe to the Jackrabbit Speaks newsletter. That is the official newsletter that you get from Burning Man, and it tells you what's going on, and you really should be subscribed to that. Goals. I would say the first goal would be to meet your local burners, if there are any. The second goal would be to make contact with distant burners. One way of doing that is to look on the Burning Man webpage and find out about the list of theme camps. It may still be too early for 2016, but you can certainly go through the theme camps for 2015. These are the officially placed theme camps, as opposed to ones that might not be in that list. But you can go through there and you can see if what they're doing, what their theme is. You can see if it fits in with what you want to do, and you can correspond with those people. And you might not want to camp with them your first year, But possibly, if you build up the relationship, you might want to camp with them later. What I did was I camped with our regional group for 3 years, Slacktoria, the Republic of Slacking, and we did it for 3 years. Our third year we were not placed as a theme camp, and that caused some amount of problems because for 100 people coming from a 12-hour drive, it's not that easy to coordinate 100 people, but we managed it. And in my first year, 2009, I went to Life Drawing because I'd heard about Burning Man at art school, and I graduated in 2005, so I knew about it for a few years, but the timing wasn't right for Burning Man because my daughter always had a 4-H horse show on Labor Day weekend at the Saanich Fair, so I was never able to come. And then 2009 I decided I was going, my son was going, and my daughter, I had it all looked after, so she would go with another family and they would take care of her and everything. And I took her to the Seattle Burn in July, and she decided 2 weeks before Burning Man 2009 that she was coming, so that was a wild scramble to get a ticket from somebody who couldn't go in town, and getting goggles and masks and stuff, and an airline ticket, because we flew to Reno right after a dressage show in Chilliwack. That was the year I decided I never wanted to drive that route from Reno to the playa at night again, because it was fairly harrowing without having had enough sleep. I only had 5 hours of sleep before we went to Reno. But anyway, so the last 3 years that I went, I stayed with the art model camp, and I had met them my first year because I went drawing a couple times. I went drawing with them my second year and hung out with them and the Los Angeles core group, which was like a tacos truck. And in the third year, my son came and drew because he's also studying art at university. And then the next year, we've just camped with them the last 3 years, and I will always camp with them because it's our regional group. Some years it was like 100 people, and the art model camp, which is in the Alternative Energy Zone village, it has usually less than 20 people, so it's a small group, and it's very nice. So if you can't find a theme camp that you want, or you want to do something else, what you can do is you can create your own local group. And you can start that with, in Scandinavia they have these things called burning dinners. So somebody offers up their house for having dinner, and then people come, and one set of people are the ones responsible for cooking that meal, and then everybody else chips in to cover the costs of buying the groceries and stuff. And they're small, intimate groups where you can talk to people and get to know them. The Scandinavian groups are very into relationships and getting to know each other, which is astounding. The thing that they do here is sometimes they have burners and beer. So they'll meet at a local pub and just, once a month sort of thing, and talk to each other. You can also have coffee groups. In Vancouver, some of them get together for musical jams, like acoustic playing, because they have a big theme camp at Burning Man, which is acoustic music. So the fourth thing you should do before you go to Burning Man is you should use Burner Map on Facebook. Burner Map is a really useful application. So what you do is, when you know where you're going to be placed, you write it on the map. And so it'll give your coordinates. And what you do, so all your friends, it'll put your friends from your friend list, they'll be added onto your burner map. And so it'll have a pictorial representation of the Black Rock City with the horseshoe, and it will show where your friends are. And then on the pages after that, it gives their name and their address, so that and any notes, and that's really useful. Then at the event, say you decided you're going to meet Dorothy at the Wizard of Oz camp on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Don't expect it to happen for sure, because there's such a thing as playa time. People sleep in, people do stuff, people may be way over here and they're supposed to be way over there in like half an hour. The city is 9 miles across. If you cut across the horseshoe, you may get lost, but it's a lot shorter than trying to go through the horseshoe the long way. So you're talking 9 miles here. Some people, I've seen maps where Black Rock City is overlaid Vancouver or overlaid Victoria, so you actually get a grasp of how large a city Black Rock City is. There are 72,000 people. It's a large city. When I grew up in Fredericton, New Brunswick, there were like 25,000 people. When they amalgamated the surrounding areas, it was 40,000. So we're talking about a city that's almost twice as big as the one I grew up in. So except that you might not find your friend. My friend Nato spent half of a burn trying to find one of his friends, and finally decided that his burn was his own, and he gave up. And sometimes you just have to do that, just give up. Do activities that interest you, and you're likely to meet people that you'll get along with. NATO also had this method where you could leave something at home that you know you're going to need, like a hammer, and then because you didn't bring your hammer, you can go to the next door neighbor camp and borrow one, and that's a good way to meet people. But you don't really have to plan to leave your hammer behind. There are so many things that you have to bring to Burning Man, like there's this usually a little meme that says, pack all the things. That's true. You pretty much have to pack all the things, because there's nothing at Burning Man provided other than roads and porta potties. Everything else is brought by the participants. My friend Chris in Flux, he had a really good way of meeting people. Just wander into a camp. Don't go into the private tent area. Just, the part where there are people, and say hi, and you can say, and what do you do here? Because even the small camps that are not the officially placed theme camps, they usually have a theme. So it's easy enough to just go in. And I thought that was a great way of meeting people. What do you do here? And they'll tell you about their concept that they have. Another way to meet people there is, my very first event, which was recompression over on the Sunshine Coast of BC, which isn't that sunny, but it was while we were there. Somebody offered to paint my nails, so you can walk around just with a couple colors of nail polish and meet people. It's really quite easy. So that's today's lesson, what to do if you don't know anyone at Burning Man. Bye.